All right, today I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about nuclear power. And I know whenever you think about nuclear, you think about Hiroshima, Nagasaki, or Chernobyl. You know, just terrible, terrible disasters that have happened. But what I want to talk to you a little bit about is how we can actually use that terrible energy for something good. So right here, this is just a nuclear power plant on water. And as you can see, there's a lot of buildings nearby, which just kind of leads you to believe that it's not that dangerous to the surrounding area. And it's really, really not, because once you learn how you create this energy, it's really not that scary of a thing. So primarily you're using uranium-235 to be exact. And the way that this element is made up is you have your neutron in the middle, and it's being surrounded by electrons. And the nucleus is composed of neutrons and protons. So what you do is you take all this uranium, you put it in rods, and then you surround it by water, and you throw neutrons at your element. And what that does is it works the same way as if you're filling up a balloon. The balloon just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger until it explodes. And that's nuclear fission. So what happens is once it finally just can't take anymore, as you can see right here, it finally splits and it's shooting off all of these neutrons here, which are heating up the surrounding water, which then boils and spins a turbine. So what that is that's how you create your energy, and it's always constantly being pumped water through there, so it's never going to get too hot. And then the next thing I want to talk to you a little bit about is how we get uranium. Uranium is very, very abundant in our world. According to a new study that came out about a month ago, there's about 425 billion tons of uranium in our ocean waters right now. There'd be no harvesting, you just have to pump the water in and find a way to take it out, which would mean there'd be no runoff and no adverse effects on the environment. And just to put that amount of uranium into perspective, 1 pound of uranium is equal to 1 million gallons of gasoline as far as energy it can produce. That's about 28,000 barrels of oil is 1 pound of uranium. And then how we're currently farming it is you go into all the old mine shafts where we used to harvest coal, and you look for a different type of rock. I can't remember the name right now, but basically they just look for the uranium and they set it on these plate beds that end up just drawing the uranium through the rocks, and then we turn it into a solid form. And then I know probably everybody's kind of thinking, what's to stop this, these reactors from blowing up? And that's thousands of safety precautions built into each reactor. And what those amount to is right around here, where these are where your control rods are, all this water around here, if it ever reaches a certain temperature, they stop the nuclear fission, so they stop throwing neutrons at it, and they just let it cool off. If that fails, they fill the entire area with sand. And what that's going to do is that's going to slow down my processes. If it were to leak out, it would all be soaked up. And then between the sand and the outside world, there's about 150 feet of concrete and about 6 of those walls. So to think of the amount of blast that it would take to actually do anything to the surrounding area, it would have to be somebody actually trying to blow it up. And then I know we're all aware of Fukushima, which was 2011. That was the reactor in Japan that blew up or had a meltdown. That amounted to 29 deaths and 16 injuries. And the whole reason that blew up was it was built on an active seismic area. It had, I think it was an 8.2 earthquake that went through it, and the reactor plant had been falsifying security certificates since 1976, which is really, really bad that you have something that's been around for that long and the technology has never been updated. They've been trying to shut down that plant for 25 years because they've been using scientists from so long ago who refused to update their methods. So that was really just the only reason that happened, is it was on seismic zone, which you should never be building something that dangerous on seismic activity zone. And then as far as how we're using the energy nowadays, is France is the world's leading producer of nuclear energy. They fund 70% of their current energy needs off of nuclear energy alone. They power all of Italy, the majority of Germany, and I think about 20% of the rest of Europe's energy needs off of 3 reactors. And then, just so everybody kind of knows, the reason our electricity is so cheap right here in Florida is we're all run off of nuclear energy as well. And that's down south near Boca Raton is the plant we're actually getting that all from. And that was just kind of a little bit about nuclear power. And the one thing that Bill Gates said that I really agree with is currently there's no energy source better than nuclear energy. Is it the best out there? We hope not, because as we all know, there are really bad effects that it can have on the environment. But currently, it's the safest and best thing we can currently do for our environment.